Hi and welcome to my all-encompassing Heist guide. I'm going to go through everything Heist in this video. It does have several sections. Each section will have its own video. I'll edit each video individually and then lump it all together in one lump and hopefully get it under 90 minutes. I'll try and get it under an hour, but it is a complicated mechanic and each section does interlace with the other sections, so it's a big decision about which sections to do first. If this is the introduction section, I'll try and keep it very basic for you, and we'll see how we get on. Heist is a league that was launched in September 2020. It's now 2 years old. Outside the Heist league itself, it hasn't really changed in that time. There's been a few tweaks and changes, but not much. It was released as 3.12 patch, so we're coming up to 3.20. I'll bring up the PoE wiki page. There you go. So what you can do, go to poewiki.net, type in the Heist search bar here. There we go, click on the league and it'll bring you to this page. You can have a read through at your leisure, reference it. It's got some basic information on there, gives you an introduction all over it. This video is going to go into a lot more depth, which will hopefully help you out on your 3.20 journey. So, let's cover some leagues first. Ruthless. I know nothing about Ruthless. I do not know if Heist is even in the Ruthless league. If you're planning on running Ruthless as your main league, I would suggest going onto the PoE forums, checking out Ruthless, checking out all the rules, maybe even talk to one of the alpha streamers. I'm not going to mention Ruthless for the rest of this video because I know nothing about it. If you're in a hardcore setting, you know what builds you need to run for hardcore. If you're a regular hardcore player, Heist can be very lucrative in all leagues. Just remember that the builds I will be doing later on are mainly for softcore. A couple of them do work in hardcore and I'll point those out when we get there. If you're in solo self-found, I highly suggest doing Heist. It is a massive, great influx of currency, of all sorts of league mechanics, and it'll help you out in your journey. If you hate it in SSF, then what I suggest you do is go into the filter that you're tailor making, turn off all the Heist stuff so it doesn't even show up, and then as soon as you get into your Atlas passive nodes, turn it off there. Job done, you won't have to think about it again. Same for trade people. If you don't want to do anything to do with Heist, before you start your 3.20 league journey, just go into your filter, make all the Heist stuff disappear, don't even let it be seen on your loot filter, get into your maps, and as soon as you can, just take that node to get rid of Heist. The other options you have as a trade player is to collect all of the Heist stuff except the default colouring for the Heist quest contracts is green on Neversink's filter, so you can either ignore them and don't pick those up so they're not taking space up in your inventory, pick up the rogue markers, pick up the contracts, pick up the blueprints, and then sell them. They best go in bulk on the TFT Discord. However, if you do not want to use the TFT Discord, then you can pop them in a premium tab, price them according to the PoE trade website, and eventually someone may pick them up. That's the option 2. Option 3 is you run the Heist yourself, either as a supplement to your mapping, so whichever you find you just keep to a secondary character and then that character is a Heist character and run it, or you run it yourself as a main mechanic. I'll go into all the strategies later on in this video, but that is your options, and you need to make that decision before the 3.20 league launches, preferably a couple of days beforehand, so you can get your filters sorted out when Neversing does them, get your build in line and all of those things. You do some planning. So when can you get into Heist? Well, the earliest point you can get into Heist is in Act 6. As of 3.20 or 3.20, they have removed the guaranteed rogue markers from the monsters in the coast. However, they make no mention of the smuggler's cache. Usually somewhere in the coast there is a smuggler's cache. You can click on, get your first rogue markers and get a contract. You may even be lucky enough to get a blueprint. I have had it happen, but it is very, very rare. Once you've done that, you'll get a quest notification pop up here. You'll come back to the town whenever you want to, speak to this lady over here, and she'll tell you to go to Rogue Harbour, which we will do. My flask's automated, so I'm just going to put them back on. There we go. So once you come into the Rogue Harbour for the first time, you'll have a quest here from Karai. Karai will ask you to speak to the people in the Rogue Harbour, and then you'll get a few question marks turn up. Now obviously I play Heist as my main PoE experience, so I've unlocked everything. You won't have this many NPCs when you first come in here. You'll need to talk to Adia over here. You'll need to talk to Wakano here and Forsters here. I'm not sure you have to else you have to talk to, because it's been a long time since I've done the quest. But there'll be yellow question marks on your map in order to do that. Once you've spoken to everyone, you'll come back to Karai and she will give you your first contract. It is a lock picking contract. You can tell here, so it says requires lock picking, but it'll say lock picking level 1 rather than level 2. It just happened to be the contract I picked up. Lockpicking is done by Cast. Cast is one of the starting NPCs you get, and then you'll run that contract, and that will begin your heist journey. A quick note that there is gameplay coming up, strategies coming up, and builds, and it will cover that, all of this in more detail. This is just the basic introductory section. And that's all for the basic introductory. As I said, you'll need to make a decision on what you do with Heist. Ignore it, use it, or trade it if relevant. Hope this has been helpful. I'll move on to the next section. So this is section 2 of the all-encompassing Heist guide, and we're going to go into gameplay. Why have I chosen to do gameplay as section 2? Because you might think that in the intro you think, oh, Heist is brilliant, it's wonderful, of course I'm going to do it, it's going to be great, I'm going to earn loads of currency, great, fantastic. That may be the case. However, let's run through some gameplay to see if you'll actually like it. Now I will note that the builds I'm showcasing today are builds that I've had for a very long time. We are in Standard League. I do have very good gear. This character in particular cost approximately 110 divines to put together, so please don't base the experience you may have on a similar character basis, because it will take you a while. I do have some build guides coming up later in the video, and this character is part of one of those builds. So yeah, just please bear that in mind when I'm zooming around and killing everything almost in one shot, that this character is an expensive character, as will be the other one I'll show you soon. So we've in the intro we showed you how to get your rogue markers, how to get your contracts. I'm just going to change my filter. Now this filter is a ridiculously strict filter, was the word I was looking for, sorry for the pause. So don't judge this on how much you will pull out. You will pull out a lot more than you will see on my screen. So once you've got your stack of rogue markers, you've got your contract, you pop your contract in the heist here, you choose your relevant rogue. So the first contract you're given is lockpicking, so you'll have Cast. He'll be level 1, obviously mine are leveled. You'll sign the contract, you'll spend your fee here, as it shows the total 312. Mine's adjusted for the rogue gear, which I'll cover in a later video. Sign the contract, and the portal opens. Now this portal will stay open and visible unless there's a bug. As long as you do not complete the contract, you can come and go as much as you like. And the first time you run a contract, you may have another rogue with you. Again, I'll go through that in a later section. You come into the hole, you go in. Each contract may have a different tile set. Those tile sets differ in their mechanics, but basically this is what you'll be looking at. Some sort of almost half a map with chests all over the place. Before you go any further, you need to decide what you're doing, and that is based on your strats. I can see here that there are two large chests I want to open, the currency one, I'm going to ignore the jewellery. So I've got two there. I know this will take up about that much of my alert level. Once the alert level gets to max, the alarm will go off, and whatever you've got you'll have to run out with. You won't be able to get the main target, which is this artifact at the end, which gives you your rogue markers, which allows you to continue running Heist. So, what have we got? We've got doors. Now, a lot of people don't like running Heist because you've got doors. In maps, you don't have as much stopping points, but in Heist, you do have a lot of doors. You've got a lot of doors going in, and with a few exceptions, you've got a lot of doors where you're running out. Rogue gear can help with doors, but I'll cover that later on. So, we will go in here, and off we go. I'm going to kill this pack here. This is a caustic arrow build with toxic rain totems. So as you can see, just center a thing. There's a default key which you can press to open up while you're running around. I just prefer to mouse click, it's easier. I've proven it on countless times that the more monsters you kill, the less monsters you get on the way out. So again, there's not a lot of loot going to be showing through these chests. There we go, there's a couple of div cards I want because I'm on a strict filter. I'm not too worried about the amount of soldiers because, as I said, this character's got a lot of currency invested in it. Also note that this is 3.19 gameplay, and I know the rare monster mods are changing in 3.20, so please bear that in mind. As you can see, I've taken off portal scrolls, wisdom scrolls. There's some blue items you may want to pick up, even white bases depending on what you're looking for. So run, and this is all about going through these. I am maximizing my rewards here. There's essence. I want to go up and get that chest. I might have enough alert level. I'm not going too much into what I'm running on my build because I'll go through that later on in the build section. Have we got enough? Yeah, plenty. As you see, once you click on the chest, a door will open and more guards will pop out. There we go, got some blacksmith and a rare item. So it depends on what your loot filter depends what you're going to see. The more loose your loot filter, like on League Start, you probably have a lot looser loot filter, the more you'll see. On this particular tile set, once you get to the main reward room, you want to look for the two safes. There's always two. You click on that, you click on this one, and you click on this once, it'll crack the safety glass, but it won't end your alert level. There we go, one chaos there, one chaos there. So two chaos, and again there's more items on the floor and more items there. If you're on this particular tile set, and you'll learn the tile sets as you run it, just try to remember to pick up the two safes. Okay, so the main focus is what we're after is this artifact, and once we pick it up, the alert level will go off, certain doors will close, and we'll have to run out. As you can see at the moment, all this is locked. It's contraband. This is a medium core mechanic, which means if you die, all of this contraband, anything that's contraband, will drop on the floor. You won't be able to get it once the alert level's gone off. You can drop it on the floor now, and that's fine, and you can pick it up. There we go. If you die once the alarm's been raised, then all your contraband is lost. Obviously, you lose your experience points in softcore, and you die if you're in hardcore. So this is why you need a certain amount of tank in your builds, and primarily movement speed. Because the quicker you can move, the quicker you can get out. So here we go. Pick that up, activate the phase run. Most Heist builds will have phase run. One, it's extra movement speed. I believe it's about 10%. Oh, nice. Additionally, regardless of your actual character, it will give you phasing so you can run through the monsters. This is a raider, so I've got permanent phasing. I just use phase run as the extra movement speed. And there we go. and we're out. Once you run out in the alert level, that you can't enter back in. If the alert level's not gone off, you can run out and save all your goods, that and this will drop off. This is the first point where they're no longer contraband. So if you find a couple of divine orbs in Heist, you can run out of the Heist, stop them from being contraband, and you can run back in, or you can run back down to the portal, drop them in your stash, keep them safe in case you get a rollback, etc., and then you can re-enter your portal. This is the only time where if I leave, I can't come back, but I can't get back into the contract anyway, so I might as well just go back to Rogue Harbour, and the portal's gone. So we then stash all the stuff. Oh, come on, glass barrels, there we go. Come down to Forster's. Forster's is a vendor, so you can sell anything to him. However, he is the only one in the game that will turn these contracts into rogue markers. If you sell to any other vendor, you'll get wisdom scroll scraps. So be careful when you're vendoring, make sure in the Rogue Harbour, and make sure you're talking to Forsters. I'll take my 600 rogue markers. There we go. And there we go. That is your standard contract gameplay. What I'm going to do now is just log on to my higher level character, excuse me, which is a Trickster Explosive Arrow character, and we'll run a blueprint. I don't think I've got any prepped, which is kind of cool because I can show you how to prep them. This is where you need a lot of rogue markers. As you can see, I've got a ton banked up. So what you need to do with your blueprint, you will need to reveal it. Most blueprints do not come revealed. They'll come partly revealed. So you can see here, Wakano has got revealed blueprint details. You plop your blueprint in here, boom, and you can see he's got a reveal count. Now 255 is his max count. Once you hit that, it won't go any further. You have other rogues behind him that can make your reveals cheaper. The primary one is Gianna, and I'm going to use her now. It always tells you how much it's going to cost. So it's going to cost me 2,000 to reveal, and it gives you an indication of what's in there. So I'm going to reveal that one. I'm going to reveal that one. There we go. So that's the wings revealed, and then you move on to the rooms. I tend to go back to Wakano for this because, like I said, I have a ton of rogue markers. So we've already got fossils, we've already got metamorph, and we've already got div cards. I'm collecting div cards. I want more div cards. I can tell here that's demolition, so I can open some more. I'm going to go with the currency. We've got agility, perception, demolition. I think that's all I'm going to be able to get out. I'll go for the delirium as well because we can get to, yeah, we'll do the delirium in that wing. So that wing has been revealed to my satisfaction. That's bad. They can be really good. These are the ones where you can get scarabs out, and in 3.20 we've got that 3-to-1 scarab recipe being introduced, so these could actually be quite good. However, I'm not interested in that right now. I want div cards, so we go for div cards, we go for currency, and this one is lockpicking, perception, and engineer, trap disarmament, so we'll leave it there. This is the worst wing. We've got 1 div card, 2 div card. Oh, actually, no, I didn't see the delirium. What have we got? Demolition, more trap disarmament, and perception. Oh, that's going to be horrible. 2 div cards. We can open them. Should be able to pick up those 4. Yeah, we'll leave it like that. So that's my wings revealed. So I then pop out my blueprint. As you can see, we spent about 10k rogue markers doing that. We come down here to the planning table, pop the blueprint in there, and then this is where we need to choose our rogues. I'll go through how you unlock the rogues, going up, etc. in future sections. For now, I'm just going to pick the rogues that I use. You may want to use different ones. There we go. I'll go through to why I picked those in a later section. Once you've hit confirm plans, you cannot change your rogues. However, you can still take the blueprint back to Wackingno and reveal more rooms if you wish. I have tried this, it still works. I've been doing it for ages. Right, then we go, once we're happy with our blueprint, I am just going to dump off these couple of blueprints and drop my rogue markers back in there. That's fine, just to create room in case we get any good stuff. I always do the top one because I'm so used to running contracts. There we go. Begin heist. So this is a grand heist, and in we go. Now, depending on how many wings you've got, is depending on how many doors you see. We did 3 wings, so we've got 3 separate doors. I always go left to right, starting with this one down here, so that doesn't have a door, so we go into this one. Right, this is probably the worst tile set, and I hate it. I don't like this tile set at all. It's all the robots that are a pain. So this is an explosive arrow character. Again, I'm not going to go too much into the build. The difference in a blueprint to a contract is in the blueprint you're typically only going after the large chests, and until you've opened all the large chests you want, you don't open the small chests. Now these red things are pulsating alert towers for perception, and you are supposed to wait for your perception person, in my case Nanette, to spy them, and then you can kill them. Alternatively, if you are skilled and or have ridiculous movement speed, you can just run past them and hope. Oh, yikes, I pressed the wrong button. I pressed frost blink rather than phase run, but we got through there without any alert level, so that's fine. Kill some of these because we're going to open this door. Open that one as well while we kill these. Perception is really slow because, again, until the perception person has identified the chests, you can't open them. And what you can do is open both the chests at the same time, more or less, and you get actually less monsters. That big glowy ball counts as spell, which is why if you're doing heist, ideally you want spell suppression. If you can't get spell suppression because you're on the wrong side of the tree, then you're going to need to mitigate a ton of elemental damage, either through max res or some other way. Pick all those up. Nice, gilded divination scarab. Off we go. This is the worst tile set because these, of all the tile sets, these ones do the most amount of damage. I can tell now that I'm going to need to unlock this because of the red mines on the floor there. So it's going to be an unlock trap disarmament room before I can get out. Both lock picking, so we'll unlock those. Can't use the instant trick, so I'll have 2 lots of mobs. An exalted shard, nice. Not as so much in demand as they used to be, but still an exalted shard is an exalted shard. I'm glad that dropped on this video. It's kind of cool. You can get full exalted orbs and divination orbs. Oh, art levels, loads of that level. Might as well open that one. Lock picking again. So I have frost blink, so I can just jump through the mobs quickly. I have phase run for when I'm running out for the extra movement speed. There we go, and we've still got half a ton of alert levels, so we're going to go now start looking at the smaller chests, and this is where the alert level is going to spike up quite significantly. I could go and open the breach, but I'm really not interested in breach. It's a whole load of GCPs. Nice. We're going to need to go through there, so we might as well just go and kill the patrol mob. Oh, that was one of my incubators kicking off. I hate this thing. This thing is a pain to kill, but you want to try and kill it, because if you don't kill it on the way in, yikes, walking over the traps. I can't do that. Let's disarm them. Did I get it? Yeah. I don't suggest you running over the traps. They do quite significant amounts of damage. Oh, I'll pick that up. It could be a decent reward one. Yeah, we'll get that one. Right, there we go. That's it. We're done. So now, unlike a contract, you get multiple choices for rewards on a blueprint, depending on the blueprint. Now, this isn't unusual gems. So this is going to be alt quality gems, possibly a regrading lens, which changes the type of gem. So on an active gem, or on a gem, you've got up to 4 different qualities. Superior, which is the default one. Anomalous, phantasmal, superior, anomalous, and the other one, divergent. So they're the 4 different types of gems, and the regrading lens will change the type of quality between them. It can be anything. So if a gem can be anomalous, divergent, or superior, and you pick up an anomalous one, you can use a regrading lens on that, but it could go to a default superior, or it could flip to the divergent. You've got to be careful. Now I'm collecting gems. I'm just going to quickly go through here, firing off the explosive arrow, killing any robots. So I've got chance. No need to chance. This is why you have a look. There's a prime regarding lens. I'm taking that. Just going to have a quick look. Divergent reeve. Ha. Massive bath. Anomalous soul rend. I've already got that. Anomalous feeding frenzy. Divergent blood rage. Oof. But that is the goal. That was nice. 2 big drops out of 1 blueprint. It doesn't always work like this, believe me. Just as a side note, item level of a blueprint doesn't matter for unusual gems and replica uniques. I've had multiple exalted orb and divine alt gems out of eye level 50 blueprints, and I've had replica Farrell's Fur drop from an eye level 60 blueprint. I sold it because I wanted the exalted orbs at the time. I wasn't collecting uniques at that time, so it's the eye level doesn't matter. On experimented bases, trinkets, and currency, it does. Experimental bases are preferred to be eye level 81. Anything below that after day 3 just won't sell. You don't pick them up. It's not worth it unless you want to run them for yourself. Prior to like day 1, 2, and 3, any experimental bases will sell probably for a fortune. After that, it's going to have to be eye level 81, preferably eye level 83, and hope you get the right implicit on the right base. For trinkets, which are trinkets or currency, I found in my testing that the rarer rolls do come out of the higher eye level blueprints, but I'm just one person. I've not got a group of people to help me test this theory. It's what I've found. It could be complete tinfoil hat theory, but that's what I found. So they're the main blueprints, and that's a quick note on eye levels. Right, let's pick up this regarding lens and try to run out. There it drops, and off we go. So we activate the Quicksilver, activate our phase 1, and we just do a runner. Hopefully we're not going to have any too many doors. We drop the totems. Again, this is where it's handy to have to press the default league mechanic key. I never bother. I prefer to run on my mouse. You can spend up to 2,500 rogue markers and open up additional escape ways, but half the time they are just as close as the original exit, so I don't bother. I save my rogue markers. That's a decision you might want to make yourself. So there we go. That's 1 ring of 3. We are full up. dump these all in here. Auto currency. Sorry for all the clicking. I've yet to figure out my audio settings so my mouse is not heard on the video. They still haven't got, after 2 years, there is still no automatic place to put regrading lenses. Let's just sit there, I'll use that later. Bad rolled. So they'll just get sold. Not you, wrong one. Do that all the time. Right, so there we go. That is one ring of a blueprint. I'm not going to do the others because it'll make this section of the video longer and the overall video a lot longer. But that is the 2 gameplay loops, is contracts and blueprints. Hope you found this helpful, and we'll do some more sections coming up. Moving on to the build section for Heist. Now, any build that can map can do Heist. There are 2 main differences between a mapping build and a Heist build, and that being speed is priority along with tankiness. You almost go ZDPS on a Heist build if you are running it for profit in a trade league environment. If you're not running it for profit or you're an SSF, then ultimately any build that you make to do mapping can do Heist. That's the general gist. There are some builds that do it better. Any totem or ballista build works really well. Any auto bomber build works really well. Righteous Fire is great. Death's Oath is great because you're just walking through and the aura is killing everything. There are some though that are really good at doing that. Specifically for the builds that I have thoroughly tested and therefore can personally recommend, I'll bring on Path of Building now and quickly go over them. Here we go. So these are the 4 builds that I fully recommend. I have thoroughly tested them, and I have one of each variant on my permanent builds list that you can see by checking my profile. I'll start with the easiest one to gear, and that is of course the Raider, Toxic Rain and Caustic Arrow. Now I'm aware in 3.20 there is a Vile Caustic Arrow and there are cursed changes. Until they have been play tested extensively, I'm going to basically ignore those, because League Start for trade players is probably the most important, and you want to have a build that is true and tested. If you want to experiment, please go ahead. These guides will give you a basis to work from and go from there. So all my builds are very similar. We have different trees here, noting where you can use them, split down into several sections, and it gives you an idea of what the tree should be looking at. Now this is prior to 3.20 Path of Building changes. I will update all the Path of Buildings ready for 3.20 and release a different video covering those. For now, these are the 3.19 versions, just to give you an idea of what builds can do Heist really well. The reason we choose Raider is of course because of the permanent onslaught, which is now a buff, so it can get better with more scaling to it. You then get the onslaught effect here, and also coming this way you get perma phasing, plus the 40% spell suppression, which is just makes it easier to get spell suppression. Because we don't kill Katava, you only end up with 6 ascendancy points by yourself, so that's that one. Come into the skills page and it's all there done for you, 1 to 6. This is based on a League Start environment, so you haven't got I've written Lilith, it's actually Lily in your hideout yet, so it's all these guides are based on that. This one does come with a baby Heist variant plus the true endless Heist, which is 67-68, and that's that. I will be adding in a beyond Heist if you so wish, but this build doesn't really well perform using Caustic Arrow and Toxic Rain. If you're going to go into maps, it's just a pure Toxic Rain Cellcast and a Toxic Rain Ballista, and Zizarin has done a pathfinding video on that build and it looks amazing, so I suggest you follow that guide. Moving on, we've got Poison Concoction Pathfinder. I tried on Radar, but Poison Concoction is better on a Pathfinder. Again, all the skill trees there with the skills, and all of the POBs also come with items. So for example, if you're getting to Act 6 and you've unlocked Lily, you come here to Act 6, click on your skills, go to the tree, and this one goes 5 to 7. So there you go. Act 6 should be something like this. There's all the skills you can buy based on how many links you have. The links are always done in priority order. So with this one, if you don't have a 5 link and you've only got a 4 link, it should be Poison Concoction, Greater Volley, Unbound Ailments, Life Tap, with Volley leveling up in your offhand, waiting for your 5th link. And there's an idea of items that you can get, including flasks. So that's Poison Concoction Pathfinder. We've got the Explosive Arrow Trickster, which is my personal favourite for running Heist. It doesn't do Baby Heist at all, really, so you can do Baby Heist if you wish to. It's just not very good at it. Honestly, if you can do Baby Heist, I would suggest either the Poison Concoction build or the Caustic Arrow Toxic Rain. They are far better at it. This one is more to do with running True Endless Heist, which is the 67 to 68 variant. And then this one can go on to map really well. The example I've given here of Beyond Heist turns it into a Crystallized Omniscience build, but you can run it without that. You just use the suggested gear here and update as you go on, possibly changing out uniques for rares at your discretion. My Explosive Arrow character is not Crystallized Omniscience and it's level 91 now, so yeah. And then the last one I've got on here, which does Heist really well. It's a little bit slower than the other 3 builds and does require the, more so than the Trickster Explosive Arrow build requires Death Rush Ring for that speed. But again, if you're not interested in going fast for whatever reason, then don't worry about it. Also, this has got 2 variants. You've got the Queen of the Forest for lots of speed, or you've got the Carcass Jack variant for more damage. Excuse me. I'm just going to grab a drink. The problem with this build is to maximize the build. We are looking for 4 Golem Jewels, which due to the changes in 3.20, I don't know how hard or how easy it is to be getting them, because we do run 3 Primordial Eminence Jewels, and then we want an Anima Stone. Now previously these jewels were really easy to get hold of, but in 3.20 patch notes they have changed how you can get them. They do say there is a deterministic non-vendor recipe, so once the community finds out that and hopefully spreads the information, you can find out how to get them. For SSF players, for trade players, you could probably just pick them up. I don't know how expensive they're going to be. So this is the build that is a bit wobbly, because it relies heavily on 3, 4, 5 uniques. You need the 3 Primal Eminence Jewels, and then the Anima Stone, and then also the Death Rush Ring, purely for speed. This is just literally for the adrenaline, for the speed. Again, if you're not worried about going fast, then this is not a requirement. So you make your own mind up. If you want to see the builds, like I said, I do have all of them on my profile. This is the Toxic Rain Caustic Arrow build at Baby Heist level 59 to 60. There's the Explosive Arrow one, Garth Explosive Arrow, and then I've got the Garth Golem Heist build, which is the Elementalist, and the Poison Concoction build there. I'm not going to do all the gameplay because that make this section very long, which will overall make the video very long. I have got videos on my channel for 3.19 going in depth into all of these builds, so just go and look those up, and that'll be you can see them there. Let's move on to the next section. Post-edit addition in reference to builds and hardcore players. I apologise that I forgot to include this in that section, so here's a little edit for you. On the 4 builds that I presented in the build section, I have got a explosive arrow character in hardcore solo self-found. I've also run a poison concoction pathfinder in hardcore solo self-found. Both of those builds perform wonderfully. I would not recommend the golem build. It can be a bit squishier than the other two, and the toxic rain caustic arrow build, again, because you're an evasion character, it can be a bit tricky to get the defenses. On the pathfinder, because you've got so much flask manipulation, most of your defenses are coming from the flasks, so you've constantly got those buffed depending on which flasks you choose to go. I've got suggested flasks in the build. Personally, I would, if you're looking for hardcore solo self-found, pick up the explosive arrow trickster. It is so tanky. I have got one in hardcore solo self-found. I'm running a series on hardcore solo self-found, so you can have a look at that series on my channel. He's currently level 54, going on to running Endless Heist. So yeah, that one is probably the tankiest out of those 4. Now, if you're a hardcore player or HC SSF, then you know the builds that work for you. You're looking for a lot of tank over speed and a lot of DPS. I will say one thing, on the explosive arrow character I have included Trinity, which can be is a massive DPS boost, but it can be a bit tricky to gear around, more so for SSF players, so just be wary of that and possibly think about dropping that support gem. It will decrease your DPS, but it's easier to gear, and I will be mentioning that in the POB when they get released after POB is updated for 3.20. That's the end of this little post-edit section. In this section of the video, we're going to go through the rogue NPCs that you will use throughout your journey in Heist. When you first come to Heist, you'll have a Rogue Harbour, you'll have a quest from Kurai, and that will introduce you to Adia, Forster's, Wakano, and the 3 rogues that you get straight off. On screen now, I'm going to come up with the cheat sheet that was designed by one of the community members for 3.19. Nothing has changed, so although it says 3.19, it is still at this point viable for 3.20. This is available on my Google Doc as well. So the bit we're going to be most interested in right now is this section here. There we go. So the 3 rogues that are immediately in the Rogue Harbour are Cast, Tibbs and Isla. Now, if you're thinking of running blueprints in the future, your priority is going to be getting to unlock Gianna. And the way you unlock them is you run a non-quest contract at an area level that's going to give your character XP with the first NPC. So if you're level 67, you'll need to run a level 64 to 71, maybe 72 contract with lockpicking for Cast. That will unlock Huck. Huck has 4 skills, none of them are really priority, so you need to use his top skill, which I think is brute force. No, it's also lockpicking. So again, lockpicking with Huck. Bearing in mind Huck has only got a maximum level 3 but is level 1 these contracts. So another lockpicking one with Huck. If that doesn't work, you move on to brute force with Huck, and then one of those should unlock Niles. Niles uses counter thaumaturgy, so you need a counter thaumaturgy contract for Niles. Run that until Vendiri appears. Vendiri is demolition and trap disarmament, so one of those contracts, and that will get you Gianna. Once you've done that, then you move on to Tibbs. Run Tibbs, which is brute force contract, to unlock Tulina. Tulina is agility, so you use agility contract to unlock Nanette, and therefore you have all 9 of your rogues done. Contracts can be brought from Wakano over here. Every time you level up or level down, they cost an orb of chance mostly. If they are magic, it's an orb of alchemy. That's how you get your contracts. And then once you've done that, all the rogues are in your harbour and various places. You only need to really interact with them in the harbour when you have a green quest contract, which drop on the floor during your campaign and or mapping experience. That's the rogues and how to unlock them. A note here, if you are wanting to run blueprints primarily, then the best way to run them, if you have demolition or trap disarmament, is to use Vendiri and hope that you get lockpicking or agility alongside Vendiri. Vendiri has this awesome ability of duplicating contents. The percentage is based on his demolition skill level. So the higher you can get his skill level, the more chance this increases. It is a basic 30% more chance of raising alert level every time you open a chest, which is why cast is brilliant, because when you're opening the big chests, which in blueprints all that matters, it's actually fully counteracted by his 45% less. Again, that is changed by his lockpicking level skill. Tulina is a 14% less raising of alert level from all chests. So although it's not fully counteracting the 30, it does mean you can open small chests if that's the strategy you're running. Strategies are coming up in the video later. So that's the one team setup you can do in blueprints. The other one is if you're not wanting to do duplicate contents, then you can run Tibbs with a +1 level to all jobs on his steel braces, and then you can get demolition up to level 5, and then you never have to use Vendiri. You do the same with Isla. You get a +1 to all jobs, which will make her trap disarmament level 5, and then you never have to touch Vendiri, so you can open more chests. There we go. Gianna never enters blueprints. Ideally, for this level 5 deception, you get +1 to all jobs on Niles, and Niles can run the deception level 5. The reason you don't want Gianna in blueprints is because she doesn't do anything. Her main strategy is in contracts to get these blueprint reveals reductions, and as well, Huck should never be used. Yes, you can have a 25% increased gain, but that isn't particularly helpful if you're running Endless Heist, and if you're running blueprints, then by that point you're usually 80 plus anyway, and that experience gain isn't that great. So he's not really used. There is a way you can use him by again getting +1 to all jobs on his level 3 studded braces, which puts him up to level 4, and then if you have a blueprint that requires level 5 demolition, you can get them where it requires level 5 demolition and then level 3/4 brute force. You can use Tibbs to run the demolition section and Huck to run the brute force. Again, that means you don't need to use Vendiri. It all depends how you feel about using Vendiri. So that's team setups, that's the rogues. I'm going to go into rogue gear in the next section to keep this section smaller. As I said in the first section of this video, the intro, a lot of these sections do interlink. It's just knowing which section to put where in this video and hoping that I'm doing a job of this video that's helpful to you. Of course, you can always skip through the video to get to the sections you want to see, but all the sections do interlink. It can be quite a complicated mechanic to understand and explain, especially if you've been running Heist for as long as I have. So I'll move on to probably one of the most important parts of Heist is NPC gear. Now, again, if you're not bothered about maximizing profits and you just want to run Heist for fun, and or you're in SSF, then again, it doesn't matter. Whatever gear you find that drops while you're doing Heist, pop it on a rogue and maybe throw an alchemy orb at it and pop it on the rogue and off you go. Don't need to worry about it. It's that simple. If you want to min-max your gear, then there are some things you kind of need to know before you start using thousands of alterations, scours, regals, etc. to get the gear that is probably most profitable. Now, going back to that cheat sheet I had on the screen earlier, it does give you some idea of the most common ways to use the gear here, and it also lists all the NPCs and what gear is possibly best for them, with listing all their perks, so you've got a one look thing. And down here it's got the desirable desirable affixes depending on your strategy, which is coming up in the next section. So increased time before lockdown, increased job speed is really helpful. If you're running Gianna as deception only, do not get job speed on her. It's completely pointless. She doesn't need it, she can't be interrupted, and job speed doesn't speed up her deception. If you are running Gianna as a strategy using her counter-thaumaturgy and perception, then you'll need job speed. That's explained in the strategy guide coming up later. Talina and Tibbs never need job speed. Talina's is more animation than actual job speed. She has a very small window where she can be interrupted, but during that window there are mobs can't hit her, so job speed on Talina is completely pointless. Tibbs does his brute force job so quickly, again he doesn't need job speed. If you are going to prioritize using him as demolition, then you're going to need job speed. It all depends how you use Tibbs and Gianna. Cloak, increased time before lockdown, increased job speed. Brooch is the same, and then a tool, +1 level of jobs, or +1 level to all jobs depending on the rogue, and I'll go through that in a moment. Suffixes. There are multiple suffixes that reduce the rogue markers used in various ways. That is a really good one to have on the weapon. On the cloak, it's very tiny script here, but there are a couple of suffixes you want to get, again depending on your strategy. Reduce the raising of alert level from opening chests, chance on opening a chest not to generate level, and chance to not activate lockdown in grand heists. Again, it depends on your strategy, depends on which one you want to go, but these top two are the most popular. This one is a very low chance of running, so if you get it, great. If you're not intending on running grand heists as part of your strategy and you're in trade, sell it. Again, the brooch, heist chests have a chance to duplicate contained whatevers. It's usually duplicate currency. Stacked decks count as basic currency, so that's a great role to have. And then onto the tool. Chance on opening a chest not to generate alert level using the stated job, and then reduced fees. Now, a quick observation on weapons. Weapons have different inherent abilities. Let's just go back into the game and I can show you. These are the weapons here. Sharpening stone, precise arrowhead, Gianna, there we go, and burst band. They're the three different ones, and they are shared between all of the rogues. and they are, requires level X job 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. If you're wanting to gear up Huck in the aforementioned reasons, make sure he can only use level 3, so you're going to need requires level 3 to fully gear him out. So it depends on what strategy you're using, depending on what you're looking at your gear. I'm going to bring on my personalised spreadsheet because I spent some time recently going through Craft of Exile, finding out what could be rolled on gear and what would be best for the way I like to run Heist. So as you can see here, I have chosen to concentrate on only 3 affixes because that's just alt rolling, auging and regaling. If you want to use exalted orbs to slam for that 4th, you can do. So for Cast, Niles, Nanette, Huck, Vendiri and Isla, I'm looking for job speed. For Tibbs, Tulini and Gianna, I want increased lockdown timer before lockdown. That's what that stands for. Either one of those, depending on the rogue. RMV is rogue marker value. This means the artifact that you gain at the end of the contract will increase the value of the rogue markers you're getting back. And that is huge. If you're running Endless Heist, you can get tons of rogue markers, and if you're not going on to doing a blueprint strategy, you can sell those either on the trade website or via TFT, or you can stockpile them yourself for future use. And then the only suffix I'm after is duplicated basic currency. That's the way I'll be rolling my brooches. Cloaks are pretty much the same as the brooches, with the 2 prefixes of being job speed or increased lockdown, and then the 2 suffixes I'm going after. So the cloaks will have 1 prefix and then 2 suffixes: chance to not generate no alert and reduce alert level when opening chests. On the tools, now the difference between a tool and a weapon, the reason I've put weapon gear here is because if you look on Craft of Exile, it's actually, they state it's gear and not weapon, but everywhere else it's referred to as a weapon. I don't know why that's the difference, but that's the difference. So the main difference is a tool is the specific rogue and a weapon gear is specific damage. So if you look here, this is gear because it says Tulini. This item can be equipped by Tulini. And this is just damage, so 30% increased melee damage and 30% increased projectile attack damage. Now that increased damage is only for the rogue, not you. In that way, the damage increase on these items are completely pointless. So it doesn't matter what what tool you give your rogues, unless you want to maximize their damage, which again, as I said, is pointless. In that way, for me, what I'm going to be doing is for the weapon gear, I'm just going to be using the projectile attack ones because I want increased flask usage. So I haven't written it here, but that's what I'm going for. On the, have I got it rolled on cast? Yeah, there we go. Players have increased flask charges gained. Now that is a tier 4 roll, which is up to 15%, but the tier 1 roll goes up to 20%. So if you've got all of your rogues with a precise arrow head, sorry, words are a bit of a problem at the moment for me, I don't know why. All one with players having increased flasks charges gained, your flask charges will get more charges, therefore more use, etc, etc. So all of my rogues will be equipped with precise arrowheads, looking for that suffix of flask charges. Arrowheads are the only item that can roll flask charges. The whetstones can't, and nor can the burst bands, which is why everyone in my section will have precise arrowheads eventually. I've got a stash of heist gear sat there waiting for me to roll when I get some more alts. So that's how I'm going to be running my tools and my weapon and my gears. You can, as I said, roll whatever you like depending on your strategy. This is a basic desirable mod section here, and that is still valid for pretty much any strategy. Or, as I said, you could just pick them up off the floor when they drop inside contracts and blueprints, throw an orb of alchemy at it, and equip it to your rogues, and you're done. Entirely up to you how much currency you spend on rolling the gear. The better rolled gear, the more chance you have of opening more chests, more rewards, etc, etc. That's the section covering gear. We're now going to move on to strategies. In this section we're going to go through heist strategies and the most common ones used. There are just about as many strategies in Heist as there are mapping strategies involving the full Atlas passive tree. I'm only going to cover the most commonly used ones, and therefore from that usually the most profitable ones. Again, if you don't care about profit and you just want to do this for fun, then run Heist however you like. If you're not interested in running Heist at all, as per the intro, you can just find all the Heist stuff and sell it if you're in trade. If you don't care and want to ignore Heist, then go into your filter, remove all things Heist so they don't even show up, and then one of the first points you get on your Atlas passive tree is to block Heist. Job done, end of story. If you're interested in running Heist as a primary form of profit, or looking for various uniques, old gems, etc., then this is a section for you. First off, let's go through contracts. Now we're going to go through the most popular version, which is a section called Endless Heist. This is where you get a character to Act 10 here, but you do not kill Katava. You get to the point where you get this section here saying kill Katava. You've opened up the canals with the Staff of Purity, and at that point you stop. You're usually around level 65 to 70, and at that point you then level down to your level that you want to do Endless Heist at, and start running the strategy. Let me just get back into Rogue Harbour, and we can go through the strat. Okay, so Endless Heist, the idea is you get to your preferred level. On this character, my preferred level is 59 to 60. This is generally referred to as Baby Heist strat, and the idea is you set up a stash tab holding your level 60 and 61 contracts. You run the level 61s, you level up to level 60, you then grab a Wisdom Scroll and a Orb of Scouring. You come over to Forster's, you hand in the Scroll of Wisdom and Scour Orb, and you pick up a Book of Regression. As it states, this levels your character down and resets that experience. Before you do that, come over to Wakano and just check to see if there are any contracts that you want to pick up. If there isn't, then go ahead and sell your book. Now once you have the book, the only thing you can do with it is right click and use it. You can't drop it on the floor, you can't put it in your stash bank, you can't delete it in any manner. Once it's in your inventory, it's there, it's going to stay until you use it. So let's just do that. Boom. Now we're down to level 59, which then resets Wakano. We go over, we look for any contracts we want. For me, it's agility, deception, lockpicking, and brute force. In another section, I will go through why I'm picking up those relevant contracts. I stash them here So deception goes there. I'll do the rest later, but you get the idea. You separate them into the sections you want, and then you go ahead and run it. You level up, at which point Wakano then gives refreshes again. You grab those level 61 contracts, you level down, you run those contracts until about 80% XP, level down, and rinse and repeat. That's why it's called Endless Heist, because every time you level up or level down, you're going over to Wakano, buying the contracts, and then you're just rinse and repeating. And the idea with this strategy is you're earning a ton of currency here, either to use for yourself or to trade in bulk. The other way of doing that as well means you're getting a ton of artifacts to sell to build up rogue marker values. I think I've got a bit of a cold, so I apologise, but I want to get this video out because 3.20 is coming up really quickly. So that is Endless Heist, and as part of that you then end up getting a ton of Wakano reveals for revealing blueprints. He maxes out at 255 reveals, and with that you can also do other strategies. Now is the most popular one. Now there are 3 other ones that are really popular. Rogue marker value runs, which is you run into the contract. You've seen the gameplay. You run into the contract, and your only expectation is getting to the end of that contract, grabbing the artifact, and running out. And the idea between this, it's usually specific to trade players. The idea of this is you're running out, you're amassing rogue markers, and as soon as you hit 50k, you then sell them on trade to get currency such as divine orbs. Used to be exalted orbs, but now divine orbs. And that's that strategy. That's it. You maximize speed. You're looking for a Z DPS build, more or less. It's got some tank, a lot of speed, and not much else. Maybe some utility skills to keep monsters away, while you literally run in, run to the end, grab the artifact, run out. Job done, end of story. And that's what you do. The reason I don't run that strategy, and the problem around it, is you're not getting any XP from the contracts to get Wakano to reveal, to refresh his stock. So it's generally done by high level players that have either got XP from mapping or from running blueprints, and they move on to this as like an end game strategy, because you then are forced to use trade, more appropriately TFT, for mass bulk buying of contracts. So because you're running each of these contracts, you're running in about 45 seconds or less, so you just rip through all contracts. It can be a profitable thing, but it does depend on the value of rogue markers. So that's another strategy. The other strategy, and this is another popular one in the last couple of weeks, is what's called reveal runs. You primarily are running Gianna, which means you need to gear Gianna appropriately. So you're looking for deception, perception, and counter thaumaturgy contracts. You also must get a +1 level to all jobs regicide disguise kit, which means you need a regicide disguise kit, and you need to get it to eye level 82 minimum. At that point you're then using a ton of alts, orgs and regals until you get +1 to level of all jobs. Anything else you get is a bonus, or alternatively you can buy one from trade. I have no idea how much they cost. I've never brought one. This strategy is not something I've run in a league. I do it in standard because I need the reveals for my blueprint farmer. And at that point you then end up with +5 deception, +6 in deception, sorry, +3 in perception, and then +4 in counter thaumaturgy, giving you more scope for contracts. It is an endless heist thing, so again you're buying your contracts from Wakano, and you're looking for anything that Gianna can run, deception, perception, and counter thaumaturgy, and you're running her. And again, you can use this as the next strategy as well, but the idea is you're running in, you're grabbing the end game artifact, you're completing the contract successfully, and that will increase her number of reveals, which means you can then use those reveals on your own blueprints, or you can buy unrevealed blueprints, reveal them using your Gianna, and then sell them again so they're revealed. Or alternatively, you can just go onto TFT and sell the service of revealing people's blueprints for them. I've never done this, so I don't know how profitable it is. I've seen a ton of people do it and they make a ton of currency. That is the 4 main contract strategies. Moving on to blueprints. The blueprints have 3 strategies, and that is end runs, large chests, and all the chests. All the chests can also be done in contracts, and I'll go through both when we get there. End runs, like contracts, are literally that. Again, it's a ZDPS build, primarily focusing on tank and speed, with utility skills to keep monsters out of the way or to crowd control them. And you literally run into the end of the blueprint, get the reward, and run out. This can be very costly because, again, you're running these blueprints in about a minute and you're going to need trade to buy that many blueprints. A note on blueprints, I'm not sure if I've covered this in the video, my brain is slightly addled by my illness. Eye level of blueprints only matters for experimental bases, really, because the crafters want the eye level 81, preferably 83. Experimental bases with the right prefix. You can make a fortune if you get the right implicit on the right eye level of item, and you can make a ton of currency. Experimental bases are not usually the blueprints people run. They are usually running unusual gems, which is the alt quality gems, replica uniques, or the trinket / currency one, because they're looking for that trinket that is going to make them a fortune, or they're looking for regrading lenses as well. Now, I note on unusual gems and uniques that eye level of the blueprint doesn't matter. I have pulled out multiple high expensive rare uniques and alt quality gems from eye level 50 blueprints all the way up to eye level 83 blueprints. It doesn't matter. The eye level 83 and 81s sell the most because people believe it does affect what alt quality gems and uniques you get. In my experience, it doesn't. And I know I'm only one person, so it's a very small sample size, but I've spent thousands of hours in Heist, so hopefully that will carry some weight with you decision making. The other thing you can do in blueprints is whilst you do go for the end reward, you're also gearing your rogues for the large chests. So in a blueprint, much like a contract, you'll have 2 to 5 large chests in a contract, depending on the eye level. In blueprints per wing, you'll have multiple rooms, depending on how many you've revealed. Each room can contain 2 large chests. So you're primarily rolling your gear to reduce the alert level. You're stacking your team for the wing to reduce the alert level. You're not using Vindiri, or you are using Vindiri, but only when you can use cast, and that way you're maximizing the amount of large chests you can get to get the rewards. Now, on that cheat sheet I showed earlier, which unfortunately I have closed, so let me just see if I can find it again. Is it that one? I've got so many. Yeah, there it is. It does tell you what skills you can use to what is in the chests. So you can see the most one that is usually ignored is trap disarmament, because it's not got that great rewards. However, 2 that are very popular are agility, deception, and lockpicking for the currency chests. So large chests are probably something you want to look at and be careful of what jobs are required. Perceptions are also good because you get divination cards and currency. So not only have you got a chance to get stacked decks, you've got a chance to get divination cards. And it also tells you here in the brackets what eye level they appear at, so you can even target farm what rewards by looking at the item level of the contract or blueprint. And then the final one, which I forgot to include in the contracts, is all the chests. Now this means you are maximizing the chance to get alert level, and you are maximizing your teams so you can open as many large chests and as many small chests as possible. And your team will primarily consist of Tibbs, because at brute force level 5 he can unlock 2 chests, ignore the word mechanical. And you're also wanting to use where is he, Niles? Yes, Niles, because he can unlock another chest. Again, ignore the magical, it is 1 chest. So if you've got Niles and Tibbs in your team, after lockdown you can open up 3 chests. The best team, if you're looking for this, is Tibbs, Niles and then Isla, because she has the increased time before lockdown based on her engineering. I've got level 6 engineering, so I've got 55% increased lock time. And at that point your gear is looking for increased time before lockdown, chance to not generate alert level, chance on opening chests to generate 0 alert level, and even the rare one, chance to not get locked down after getting the end reward in Grand Heist. I can't remember the exact wording, but that's basically what it does. So that's your 3 team members you're looking to maximize on, and that's the gear you're looking to get on for blueprints similar to contracts. And you're just going in there, you're not so bothered about the end reward. If you get it, great, and it can be part of the strategy. You're looking to pull out as much as you can from the chests, and maximizing your rewards that way. That's the most commonly used strategies. There is a combined strategy as well, where you are using a contract strategy to buff your blueprint strategies, and it can be used by those players that are in trade but don't want to do too much trading, or SSF players, where and you literally, it can be a bit complicated because of gearing. You might need to have 2 or 3 bits of gear per rogue, and effectively you are running contracts to earn rogue markers. So it's almost, you're running, you're trying to get all of the chests, and you want to get the rogue marker, as many markers as you can. You're using Gianna as much as possible, but not focusing on her to get the reveals. You're possibly also running Niles, because he has a reduced blueprint cost as well. It's only discovers a blueprint reveal upon completing a heist contract mission, and it gets reduced as well. I think it's about 30% reduced reveal rather than Gianna. So using him when you can't use Gianna, and you're doing all of this to then be able to run blueprints that you might find in maps, or you buy in bulk from trade, and then you're kind of, running the blueprints to maximize the outcome for your own benefit, really. So that's all the strategies there, and that's the end of this section. This section goes into the Chaos Recipe tool. Now if you're running an endless heist strategy or low level blueprints, then this can be an additional currency making profit that will help you out if you want tons of chaos. It does this by picking up un-ID'd rares and then turning them into a vendor to get 2 chaos orbs per full set. Now to get the Chaos Recipe tool, you can go into your web browser, type in PoE Chaos Recipe tool, scroll down a bit, and there is the GitHub page. Come to the GitHub page and you can scroll down to download. There is a video on how to use it. It's slightly out of date, so this one is, in my opinion, better. So there it is. This is the Chaos Recipe. It only ever gets updated just before League starts. That's once every couple of months. The app itself doesn't tell you there's an update. So a couple of days before League start, the best thing you can do is to uninstall the Chaos Recipe tool from your PC, and then just come to here and reinstall the latest version. Once you've got it installed, there'll be various settings you'll need to go through to get it set up. Now, The Chaos Recipe Tool itself is a app that's only in white, and it's quite a bright white. There's nothing you can do to change that, so it's going to come on the screen soon. So if you've got sensitivity or whatever, please be aware this is going to be a bright white screen for the next few minutes. Here it comes. 3, 2, 1. I did tell you it was bright. So there we go. This is the app. Now most of this information will be blank, and you'll have to manually fill it in. Of course, you'll need your account name and then the PoE session ID. The easiest way to get that is to go onto the PoE website. The default key is F12, and that will bring up a separate screen, of which I do have a screenshot. There it is. There's more information on this. The screen is bigger. I've just cropped it to save personal private information. I've also blacked out the information so you can't steal my account. And yes, that is possible. If you know someone's PoE session ID, you can steal their account. So this is what it is. It's PoE ses ID here, and that'll have a long number letters there. You just need to copy that value into the PoE session ID here, and that'll get that one done for you. Now there are occasions where the Chaos Recipe Enhanced tool will throw up an error. The first thing you need to do is just redo your session ID, because it can mean that section has been changed. I'm just going to take a drink of water. Once it's done that, you then need to set your league. This will is a drop down box which will contain all of the league. As you can see, we're kind of still in 3.19, so it's got Calandra. That'll update to the Sanctum one, and then you've got Hardcore, Solo Stuff, and on all the others. If you're not in one of the GGG leagues, you can then click this button, and that becomes free text, and you can type in there whatever you want .league. Make sure that you get the league correct, including the league number. It may take a few tries if you're in a private league to get it correct, but that's how you do private leagues. Then we make sure we click on the Chaos Recipe tool. We never include identified items because that will reduce the amount of Chaos Recipe. The Exalted Shard recipe doesn't work, and you can do the Regal recipe if you want to. Just take off the Chaos Recipe and click on the Regal recipe. You then here got how to your stash and the hotkeys. Choose whichever hotkeys you want. I don't personally use them. And all your sound effects, again, that may take some personalization and playing around with to get it correct. The stash, I'll take this off the screen, it will come back in a moment, so just be aware of that. For the Chaos Recipe tool to work, the stash you need must be the one right on the left hand side, otherwise the tool can't find it. This is the one thing that could cause hassle if you have any sort of OCD like myself, but for the Chaos Recipe tool to work, it's got to be the first tab in your bank of stash tabs. As you can see, this is what it looks like. I use a quad tab. You can set up multiple tabs. It just makes it a bit more complicated and can throw up more errors. The easiest way to do it is just to use a quad tab if you have one. And then you just throw in all your unID'd rares, and it's looking for one pair of gloves, one hood or helm, one pair of boots, 2 1x3 weapons or a 2x3 bow, 2 rings, an amulet, and a chest. Once you've got all of that, you can sell that to a vendor, and you'll get 2 chaos orbs back. So let's just do that now. Hood, gloves, boots, belt. There's a belt. 2 rings. 1, 2. Ammo. What am I missing? I've got everything. Got me 2 weapons, chest. I always double check, so I always usually miss something. And then you sell them all to a vendor. And there's your 2 chaos recipes. 2 chaos orbs even. There we go. Now it's only 2 chaos orbs. You're thinking, Garth, that's not a lot of currency. No, it's not per set. However, on the tool itself, you can set the full set threshold. I have it at 10, but you can put it to anything you like. I put it at 10 because 10 is a nice number and it fits the quad tap quite nicely with a little bit extra. You set the stash tab query to ID and then use the number 0. You can use whatever you like. In my experiences, this is the easiest way to do it if you're using one tab. If you're using multiple tabs, then you'll have to play around and get it to work that way. The next thing is you'll need to get the PoE client.txt file. You just click on there, and as you can see, it tells you where it is on my computer. That's the default for it if you're installing PoE. If you've customized where you've installed your Path of Exile, then you'll need to find it and go from there. I've used the default because it's easier. Choose the language you want it in, set your hotkeys, do your sounds. Here's all your overlays where you can change everything. Again, that might take some testing for you to play around with to get the ones you want. And this is the most important bit, is the loop filter. Now for this to work, you must download your filter onto your hard drive. You cannot use a subscribed filter. If you don't know the difference, when you come into PoE, a subscribe filter is usually in blue. That means you've accessed it from the filter site or from a content creator. I always recommend Baylor Mage's filters, so I've subscribed. If it's downloaded onto your hard drive, it comes out as this color. As you can see here, Baby Heist standard, so I know which filter I'm using. So you've got to have it downloaded onto your hard drive. And there we go. So you input that there, mine's in that section. It's always going to be in that section if you haven't customized where PoE has been downloaded. You can then choose your color. You've got this here, which is the advanced, or you can just pick one of their standard colors. It's entirely your choice. Do whichever color you prefer. I set them all to the same color because it's then just easier. And then ring amulets, always tick this box. Always keep amulets shown. Amulets are the rarest rare to find, and you need 1 per full set, and it can take quite a while to find them all. Rings, again, always use rings because you need 2 rings per set, and that can be quite a lot to find. As I said, I'm handing in 10 sets at a time, so that means I need 20 rings, so that can be a bit of achievement. I've also got boots always active because for some reason PoE hates me and never gives me enough boots. You'll need to discover how you want. If you don't want to set a threshold, you'll need to set a threshold here, but if you just want to keep going for whatever reason, you can do that by here and just tick everything, and then the filter will just continuously run for you. You've got an advanced section there. Just one option. That's up to you whether you want to use that or not. Once you've got it all set up, run overlay. Now at this point, if there's anything wrong, then this will be where it throws up an error message, and you'll just need to go through your app and find out, apologies, what you've done wrong. It's always a user error, or your computer's having a funny minute or something. It's very rarely the app. As I said, the app itself doesn't have connection to GitHub for updates. You'll need to check that for yourself manually. So it's usually user error as to why it's throwing up an error message here. There have been quite a few videos by various content creators over the years with this, so you can go and check those out. Alternatively, you can contact myself and I'll happily walk it through with you. Via Discord is the best option. How to contact me on Discord, etc. is in the video description below. So this is what this standard overlay looks like. Once you've got your stash tab all sorted out, you click the fetch button. That'll then go looking for your stash tab and look for any and all items. Now if you've got a completely empty stash tab, it's not going to come up with anything. I always get it to start at 0 and count up. You can have it the other way round, so it starts at your set threshold and counts down. Once you get enough to do your full set, so once you get 10 chests, it'll stop showing that particular item, and it does it by using, where is it? I've lost it. This section here, loot filter manipulation, that's got to be ticked, and that is the reason why you must have the filter downloaded onto your desktop so it can change the filter. Every time you run a heist, you come out, you put all the un-ID'd items in your stash, hit fetch. Sometimes it won't update due to a delay between the app and GGG servers, so it might take a minute or two to update. Once it's done, you can then reload the filter. Item filter loaded successfully, and that means it's loaded the correct filter and altered it with the chaos recipe in mind, and then you're on to the next one and you keep going. Eventually it'll come up, it'll play whichever sound you selected or not if you've turned sounds off, and it'll grey out the item. So chests here, as you can see, I've got 8, I'm running a 10, so as soon as it goes up to 10, this will grey out. I'll hit reload filter and it will remove un-ID'd rare chests from dropping, and then eventually it'll come up saying full sets. Once you've got all your full sets, you can then start to pack out your inventory. Let me just dump these in here, I'll sort them out properly later. Put the road markers on top. So what I'd then do, once I've got full sets, I would then normally go 2 chests, the 4 weapons, so bow counts as 2. We want a boot, a hat, another boot, oh yeah, 2 boots, a pair of gloves, need another set of gloves, boot. So we've got our 2 helms, 2 boots. I don't have another pair of gloves because I just handed it in the example. I would then do 2 belts, so if you can imagine please that there's a set of gloves there, a belt there, a belt there, and then you'd have 2 amulets sitting here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 rings, and then they would sit here. So again, use your imagination. There's a pair of gloves there, a belt there, a belt there. I've got a belt somewhere because it's telling me I've got a belt. There's one. So that belt, that's a pair of gloves, that's another belt. So you then hand in all of this. It'll give you 4 chaos orbs, and it'll leave 2 spaces for you to put your chaos orbs. At that point, I'd move the chaos orbs down into these 2 holes, and I'll just keep going and hand in all 10 sets. And once that's done, that is 40 chaos orbs that you've just earned whilst doing the strategy and really not doing anything apart from collecting loot. Oh, that's gone in the wrong place. I want that there. Okay, right, let's just put all this back in. There we go. Grab these back out so I know to sort them out. And that's essentially how to run the chaos recipe. Now once you've finished your runs, you'll need to come to the chaos recipe, stop overlay, and then just close it down, and then you're done, and then you move on. Don't forget though, once you've finished doing heist, you will need to change your filter. This is why you need a separate filter for running heist, because the one you use for heist is going to be continually changed and manipulated by the chaos recipe tool, if you're using it, of course. It's just a way of getting increased amount of currency from really not doing much. And I know some people hate the chaos recipe tool, others love it. I'm personally a fan. As you can see, I run it all the time when I'm doing my endless heist strategies. That's the end of this section. I'll go on to the final section next. In summary, heist can be quite a complicated and daunting mechanic. Hopefully this video has helped you understand Heist a lot better and provides you with some helpful information leading into your 3.20 journey. If you have any questions or queries, please don't hesitate to comment on this video. Alternatively, you can get me on Discord, the details of which are below. The main server I'm in is the TFT server in the Heist channel. Alternatively, you can DM me there. Otherwise, you can catch me on Twitter. Again, follow me on Twitter and DM me there. Quite happy to have a conversation on there as well. And with that, I would just like to offer my thanks to Balamage. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am today in PoE. His filters are amazing. If you are looking for a league start filter for any league other than Ruthless, then I suggest hitting him up and following his filters. His league start filter is the best out there, hands down. There's no comparison. After you've done your league start and you're heading out into maps, etc., or whichever mechanic you're farming, unless you're in softcore trade, you will need to do find or do your own filter. When you get to maps, Balamage's filters are designed for softcore trade economy. He does have a mapping filter, and then he does have T16/endgame farming filters as well. Hit him up on Twitch, follow him on YouTube, hit up his filters. That's it for Balamage. Also, I'd like to shout out to Locahole. He does a lot of crafting YouTube videos. He does stream on Twitch occasionally, but he's known for his crafting videos on YouTube. They are amazing. In 3.19, with watching his crafting videos saved me about 6 mirrors in gear, because the gear I wanted was expensive, and instead I watched a few of his videos and used some currency I had in my stashes to craft the item I wanted. And rather than paying out multiple divines for a crafted item, I spent about half a divine in crafting mats that I already had and made my own. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe in Rogue Harbour.